We're going to have a little talk about accountability, right? This is what happened to Jacob Tillman on Pleasant Street for getting his phone out and recording what he perceived as manhandling of Sierra. Ground his face into the pavement, right? What did police give me? Oh, nothing, right? I got everything from those people, right? Including the dash camera video where several people, several of the officers stood in the way to block the view of the dash camera that was on them, right? That was the most shocking part of it all. The scene with Jacob sitting on the curb is probably on a different dash camera because there were so many officers there. They'd been trying to search for almost 20 minutes, and that's when officers announced that they were starting to search. Okay. All right. And my biggest deal is now I've had discovery in federal court, and it's basically the same video I've had since 2022 on October 7th, exactly 2 years later. They give me edited video without a timestamp, and it's the same edited video without a timestamp. In-picture timestamp for WatchGuard camera systems video. I got some shots of it here. I can show it at some point. All that followed was because of my February arrest. I think I got pictures of that here somewhere too. This is 10/7/2020 OUI 2020 OUI arrest. I want forensic authentication of the July 6th video shown. No in-picture timestamp. It's not permissible in court without authentication. Heavy redaction not allowed in a police report. No exception applies to this video or report. They contain myself, and you can't remove narrative. That's tampering with the evidence of police misconduct. From Andrew Fitzpatrick's report, October 7th, my entire interactions with Andrew Fitzpatrick, who violated my rights, and the chief agreed and said he disciplined him. Oh yeah, we had a big talking to him about that. You know, those rights things and stuff like that. Sure he did. That was all lip service. There's nothing in his employee file. Nothing. So the chief lied and said he disciplined an officer because he knowingly violated my rights. And that's the evidence that's missing from the federal case. Right? They want to give me inauthentic, without authentication, without a timestamp, in picture for WatchGuard camera systems video. Nope. Oh, you need an expert to explain that in court. No, I don't. I'll tell you that right now. Any layman can take one look at real WatchGuard camera systems information. I know I should have gotten more prepared for this. Yeah. receipts of pirate goods. Police Review Committee. Oh, yeah. Do you think they even get the same paperwork out twice and even look at it? No. And then there was the 2021 Angie Crop. Trying to reconnect. Are we working again? Huh. Keep dropping out. Yeah, here's my arrest. We're going to talk about accountability. That's the entire point of this entire page was developed because the October 7th video evidence, right? They told me no longer would there be a forensic analysis. We're not investigating anymore, right? Right? So, what began with my arrest, right? Blew all zeros, told them I couldn't drink. I had liver disease and would never be able to drink alcohol again. And officers did not care. The empties in your truck. Yep, lipstick on them and they're empty. What does that tell you? Weren't me. Right? There they are, torturing me knowingly on the bench in Brunswick Police Station. Right? 40-ish minutes in handcuffs. 17 minutes after blowing zeros. You know, after they violated my rights. Right? That's Patrick Scott, Brian Funky, and Adam Merrill. Right? What do we do now? He blew all zeros. Oh, we'll just leave him in handcuffs, crying on the bench. You know, I'll straighten him out because he was pissed off because you guys towed his truck and the works, right? And then it's like, if you don't have cash, we're going to keep your truck all weekend. Hopefully we can wake the record driver up since you were not guilty of any crime and they took your vehicle away from you, right? And then made you pay for it. That's held for ransom. You held me and my truck for ransom, right? When I had a Fourth Amendment right to travel down the road without unreasonable search and seizure. It was unreasonable for one half of a taillight bulb out, right? Oh, wait. Oh, it wasn't out. That's right. You just made up a lie to stop me, right? I know, because my neighbor called and said, he's leaving. They're over there partying. I know he must be drunk. Well, you know what? Yeah, I was 4 months into sobriety. Not a drop to drink ever again, right? No, just torture people over stuff like that, right? Especially if you defend your rights. I told them, you got to leave me alone for a light bulb out. I've had enough of this stuff. Because they stopped me like 15 times in 2019, late at night, because I work late, right? They stopped me 15 times in a year. Light bulbs out or something like that. And I'd be like, leave me alone. Go away. You guys know who I am. I'm driving through here. I'll quit. And one officer stopped me 3 times in 1 week. Right? Because I was driving a red Dodge pickup truck with scratches that showed white paint underneath, and it was registered as a black truck. I just painted it. Right? Yep, go down and get that changed. So I did because, you know, I'm free during the day. I can go down and do stuff like that. Right? And he stopped me 2 more times that week. This is a stolen truck. I know it. It's like, dude, you're fishing. It's ridiculous. Right? I'm the registered owner and I had the title in hand. You know, ridiculous. You know, they harass people like this. There's a guy this week, right? Said he'd been stopped twice over his truck having a valid sticker. And someone on the force there thinks that he can't drive around with a valid sticker because he don't like his window tint. You guys, that's not a valid excuse to violate someone's Fourth Amendment rights constantly. You're doing the wrong shit. I am not the problem. I record lawfully. The police work I see, it isn't my actions that violate, it is the officers writing their own policies, codes, and statutes. Failure to identify is why I need to approach to within 10 feet to identify officers hiding their identity while committing crimes. That's the Union Street, late 2022, December-ish, a good citizen stop. I can post it later. Yeah. That's why people shouting orders and detaining me for filming, order me back 60 feet, unreasonable distance, can't see or hear conversations, and it's always the bad cop, right? Right? Joshua Vernier, he's laid hands on people right in front of me, right? And it took me a year and a half and $150 to get his edited police report and never get any of the 5 police cars dash camera evidence. No, they ain't hiding anything, right? They threatened to tow my truck. September 11th, Stanwood Street, Anthony Alvarez. And yep, he's right on my phone, right? Anthony, right? He's kind of a nerdy kid, right? He was doing sobriety tests, and you guys took advantage. Just a nerdy kid. Anyway, the biggest deal is, okay, I'm trying to find some timestamp stuff. I know what's in here. Right, shutting me down, huh? They keep shutting me down. This is weird, right? Oh, here's some of it. Okay. And there's a screenshot. Right. Please note the diner sign there has 0 lights on it, when in fact it had like a street light on it, and there was a telephone pole in front of it. Right. You got to edit that out because we want it really dark to cover up our fake video. Right. Right. There's my drawing from my complaint. Right. Guy's not wearing a hat like Patrick Scott was that night, and his glasses, and has no hair. This guy had a black ring of hair and no hair on top, and yelled angrily after Jolene opened the door, right? After her friend was arrested for OUI and failed sobriety tests terribly. Yep, Patrick Scott was walking him away in handcuffs, leaving one officer at the back of the truck. Jolene opened the door. This is in my complaint from 2020, right? Opened the door. She opens the door and says, "Why the open-handed? Why the F are you arresting him?" The officer drew his firearm and said, "Get the F back in the truck." Angrily, mad, yelling top of his lungs. right? She shuts the door and goes, "What the F is wrong with you?" Okay? Right. The whole thing was crazy. I haven't gotten drunk since. The cops do shady things, but I'm not looking to go to court against them. They always win. Right? Did she say the gun draw never happened? Nope. She said she wouldn't go to court because she was afraid of retaliation. Right? She was afraid they'd retaliate against her and her friends. That's why she wouldn't go to court. Fear and intimidation. Right? Oh, this is a big deal. So I don't want to have to deal with this because she's someone who has emotional problems, right? And doesn't like crowds and doesn't like people, right? A fearful individual, right? Yeah. Hanson tells me I can have the entire video after May 7th court date. May 11th email. No public records of this OUI will be given to me. And we're kind of back. Okay. September of 22, after confrontation with John Eldridge, town manager, I think that was 2021, I said I can have a copy. No timestamp, entire top. Yeah, this was after I received it. After confrontation with John Eldridge, manager, I get an edited copy. No timestamp, entire top of picture covered up. Anyway, 3 recent videos, November 27th, 22, illegal search after Cumberland County. Sheriff's dog sniffs the car and finds no drugs. 2 Brunswick officers search him and his car, refuse to identify during rights violations on camera, hiding their names with spotlights, barking orders to stay back 25 feet. I believe it was Brian Funke and Zachary Huber, right? Yep, violated their oaths of office, violated the guy's rights big time over a half a tag light out, right? Any excuse to pull somebody over and violate their rights for an hour and a half, right? Hiding their names and spotlighting after barking orders to stay back 25 feet. March 4th, Town Hall Place, Brunswick, Maine, 9:15. Woman with suspended license began filming Patrick Scott. He left his computer up on his information displayed, and I asked him to cover the personal information. He began to give directives, stand back, no further, and now you're in the road, now you need to cross. And then when I crossed, he said you needed to use a crosswalk. Corey Isles writes a summons for ped in roadway entrapment ticket, $152 ticket. He doesn't identify as an officer. March 11th, Pleasant Street, California tag. Multiple officers couldn't run the guy's license, so arrested him. Vanelli began barking orders, and a second officer, which was Corey Isles, threatened me with arrest for filming. Get back 25 feet or go to jail. Town sent a letter stopping filming police, or we will arrest you for interference, disorderly conduct, wiretap laws, and other unconstitutional laws they dug up. Right? That was the town's letter, March of 2022. Right? And from their criminal lawyer. The judges want to all dismiss all these people, even though they've done all of this, and I've sent all of this evidence there. The courts are blind. They will not look at your evidence. Doesn't matter how much you send, how much you do. They want to throw a blind eye because I'm pro se and running this myself. It's total ridiculous. I can't get any motions. I can't make anything happen. I've sent so much that, they've threatened me. It's all nonsense. No, these codes and laws are for corporations, and you're a corporation, right? Corporation plundering money from we the people. That's one of the unfounded letters. And the Paul Hansen interview in 2021. And me live. And Tito, I still haven't gotten an interview with him, right? That was another late night at the storage units out on Route 1 in Brunswick. 3 officers showed up. I interviewed the backseat passenger, Gilligan Weston. She got a gun pointed in her face for sitting in the back of the car. The kids were out at the storage units late at night, and they were laughing and joking. They forgot the key, and they were going to break in. And, of course, the security listening to this, and the cops come in and punch Tito, roundhouse punch to the face as a compliance, as he stood there and stood his ground, and they just came up and roundhouse punched him to the eye. Yeah, I guess, right? They don't want to talk about that one. All right, this is the California stop. Pleasant Street. They arrested the driver. Everybody else had to walk to the hotel where they were thrown out a week later because they didn't have any money. I have no idea what happened to the whole group of people. FOIA requested that. And they will not tell me anything. So, of course, that means I'm right, and they destroyed people's lives and for nothing. I'm trying to find the one with the timestamp, guys. Must not be in the stack. Okay, here. Here's a good example. That's the March 4th, 2023. You can see Scott Patrick's left his computer up, right? Yeah. And there's Corey. Yeah. I know. Yeah. It's entrapment. No big deal. Right? You're in the road still. Okay. That's AI transcribed exactly what he said. All these pictures are in evidence. Every single one of them. All of the emails. Some 140 emails. Right? Exonerate the letter. Here's the Anthony Alvarez. His picture, I couldn't find him it took me a year and a half and $150 to find him. And in 1 minute, he sent me the pictures of his injuries, consistent with my complaint, right? Took the guy right off his feet by one arm because he was walking too slow, right? Right? And then you hotbox him in the police car and did horrible things to him for hours in the police station, right? Don't believe a word of his report. Not one word of it. And where does it say in there you threatened to tow my truck? Nope, doesn't have that in there, does it? But it's clearly in the video. That's why I had to tuck tail and drive over to an open business, park my truck, and then walk back. Right? You guys were evil from day one. Right? I ain't playing. Here's some of the screenshots. Audit number 11, YouTube, Anthony Alvarez, right? Yep. Walking a pretty good straight line. 20 some seconds in the one-legged stand. Yeah, I think he lifted his foot into the back. He said he had some kind of back injury or some kind of stuff like that, but he was able to do it for a very long time and quite steady. We are, that's when they took a picture. This officer took, the one over here, took a picture of me, and they would never provide it. I FOIA requested that. All the 2020 investigation scenes in the police station, they said it was not recorded. Bull stuff. There was a camera in the room, buddy boy. Right on the ceiling. Right? How come you don't want to show that? Right? Because I stand right up, did the entire gun draw. Right? This is what I saw. Huh? Who's the bad guy now? Right? 60 feet away or the dog will bite you. Tyrant alert. Yep. Don't tread on me, Bryce T. Accountability Now, Brunswick, Maine. All right. So, for 5 years now, they've lied about October 7th. And I'm going to say it to anybody and show pictures to anybody I want. Damn the courts. Right? They don't want to see this, then I'm going to show it to everybody. You want to lie on me and hide all the evidence for 2 years until the statute of limitations on excessive use of force is up? That's how you operate. You did it to me just now. Right? June 23rd, 2023. Assaulted by Officer Day. As I told him, it's cruel, unusual punishment. I've had shoulder surgeries and you've handcuffed me behind my back. This is ridiculous. I haven't committed no crime. Right? All I ask is, what crime did I commit? I don't need to give you an ID until I've committed a crime. I was on foot. Right? And he knew who I was. Why does he need ID so badly? Right? Yeah. Right? Blind belief in authority is the greatest enemy of truth. Albert Einstein. Bryce Cantrell recorded my Fourth Amendment piece till officers bark unlawful orders to detain a reporter for accountability now, Brunswick, Maine. I didn't hurt citizens in custody. Police did. Exposing a crime committed by police is treated like a crime in Brunswick, Maine, right? I've had people report that their complaints were ripped up in front of them, right? 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 Reports of people beaten in custody, bones broken in custody this year or last year. No FOIA request response for Cassandra Wag, right? Well, somebody said she stole 2 items at Walmart and was arrested, and from there to the police station, somehow her facial bones got broken, right? By one of my retaliating officers, right? Nobody wants to talk about felony retaliation, do they? How come? Right? Courts want to ignore that. They don't want to talk about that. It's right there in videos that I've given to them, right? Chased me down the road, followed me home, followed and attacked my people, arrested them for no crime and put them in handcuffs and hurt them. Oh, no. Right? Oh, Mr. Cantrell, you can't have any public records. You have to fill the form out. And then if you present it in person, we'll ignore it. You have to fill it out and send it electronically because you're not allowed in the town office to proceed with records, right? Oh, but then I'm allowed to because I called you out on it, right? Right? The town is 100% responsible, involved, right? The clerk was defiant. I went right in her office in 2021. And it was like, the cops are lying. They're covering it all up. They won't give me good public records. This is ridiculous. I 100% saw what I saw, and they're like, nope, it's a guy with a flashlight, but then won't show me the whole video. It's a lie. It's a lie and a cover-up. That's why it took years to get the video, right? Clearly, the town's involved, right? Abby King, my selectman, sat in a room and watched the whole video before I ever got it with the lawyer, Kristen Collins, right? They watched it with the town manager. That's what Abby King said. They all watched it and decided that even without a timestamp, this is good. Nothing's wrong here. Well, nothing's wrong there, but it's all edited. And you covered up the timestamp. Why is the edited and covered up timestamp? That's what I asked my selectmen. Nope, nobody wants to help Bryce. Right? Right? And that's when Accountability Now was formed. That's when they made this. Right? When they refused forensic authentication, Commander Paul, in an email, all sent court's evidence about 7 or 8 times now. But nobody wants to acknowledge any of that stuff or rebut it with a complete email. They say my emails are all cut off. It doesn't matter. It's who is it, right? It really happened, right? The burden of proof is on them to prove that I'm lying, right? I've accused them of lying since November 16th, 2020. Commander Paul showed me 1 minute of video. Perfect police work by Patrick Scott. Would not play audio where he says really nice things. Please stay in the truck, man. He doesn't yell. Nobody's upset. This is early in the stop. Patrick Scott with his hat and his glasses, overhand flashlight. Perfect police work that time, right? Nobody would file a complaint over what Commander Paul showed me, right? No reasonable person would have filed a complaint. That's not what happened. That's not the correct time. They've never shown me the gun draw at all whatsoever. It's always edited out. They're lying. It's been fraud since day one. And the fraud is what inspired me to start recording them all the time. Showing up with a scanner, listening, and showing up. It was easy. It was easy. When there was multiple people in any stop, right, somebody's rights are probably going to get violated, right? Simple, simple. Again, don't go to domestics because people get all pissed off, right? This is the worst time of my life, right? And here we are, and I've gone to a couple now, and those are terrible. Nobody wants to see any of that stuff, right? But, that's the kind of stuff I get to document now, right? Instead of my choice event, which everybody be behind if there's a crash or something with a suspected OUI, everybody's behind that, right? You drove drunk, you endangered the public. We all want to see the bad guys go away. We want to see the burglars get caught, right? They started hiding all of that too. Anytime there was a 1080, it was sent by information because they didn't want me to show up. And they wanted to keep that a secret of where people are trying to break in town. You see what I mean? They were deciding what parts right away. And then when I went and tried to record Corey Isles, he stopped saying his location. He'd send it through the computer where he'd stop people, just so that I couldn't come and record him, right? That's a violation of his oath of office to do that in the first place. And he was doing that in 2023 because he knew I was on to him, right? He's doing the wrong thing. He's hurting people in custody. He's doing the wrong thing, right? He's making threats at Advanced Auto Parts to the same people who he assaulted, right? And then when they get bailed out and drive away, he pulled them over again for the same window tint. You guys are so hot for the window tint. I'm telling you guys, if you got window tint on your front two windows, peel that shit off, right? Yeah, don't let them have an excuse to hurt you. For the love of God, right? You can do whatever you want with your other windows. But, the front two, for officer safety, you could get unalived. And don't tell me it wouldn't happen. I got pictures of it right here. People beaten in custody. Right? For what? Defending their rights? Lay on the ground. Stop being angry with us. We'll leave you in handcuffs sitting on the bench, Mr. Cantrell. Oh, yeah, that's called what? Torture? You tortured me in 2020. And that's what I'm calling it. Torture. You torture people. Torture them. Oh, look, there's somebody tortured. 40 minutes on the ground. Right? How'd that work out? Oh, wait. It was all fruit of the poisonous tree, wasn't it? Yeah, whole case ruined because you stopped them and the taillight wasn't even out. Ticket 4305294. Threatened arrest to get secured papers, no crime committed, Fourth Amendment violation, racketeering, a defect card or warning was reasonable. I requested to take care of the ticket. Paige Mashad threatened violent arrest if I didn't enter contract. Right? Contracts under threat are null and void. Right? That was ignored in court. It was said out loud. right? And it was in the taillight ticket just recently. That was said out loud too. Totally ignoring contract law. We have a right to enter or not enter a contract. You don't have to sign a ticket. They can add an extra charge for that, but you don't have to, right? That's forcing you to enter a contract, right? It's null and void, right? They destroyed it right there. Yet the courts will uphold that through your threatened under arrest license contract, right? They were going to suspend my license this spring because I signed with UCC code 1-308, all rights reserved, right? Without warning, without telling me, right? And what would happen if Brunswick police pulled me over and my license was invalid? What do you think would happen? Right? A man with a gun would kidnap me. Right? That's DMV all the way. That's how they operate. That's all recorded. DMV saying, no, you can't sign your name and add any kind of code. But yet you're allowed to, because this is entering a contract. Right? They lied, and the contract's null and void. Right? But Keith Powers recently chose to become a pirate and steal money from people for no crime committed. I told him there was no crime, and he's like, yeah, it's a statute. Then what are we doing here? Right? What I was forgetting to do was go on and for the record, right? You're violating my rights, etc., etc. That's the key word, so that it's going on the record. That's what I was asking the bailiff for, because if I have a bailiff, I can ask the questions, do you see a living person standing here? And then it's on and for the record. The bailiff has noted that I am a living person, and that the judges failed to recognize that, and that's where he has committed treason, right? Because I am one of the people that they work for. All right. And there's my closed circuit television camera stuff from 2020, with all my lights working, all on camera. So they stopped me without probable cause, kidnapped me for no crime, tortured me in the police station, charged me money to get my truck, so that's ransom. They held me for ransom and stole my truck, right? Because there's no crime here, right? An arrest where there's no crime and no victim is unlawful, and everything that follows is unlawful, right? But oh no, I couldn't have that until 9 months later, when when the September and October 7th gun draw happened, my first audit, right? Yeah, I was mad that I was driving around feeling like, during COVID, that I no longer had my First Amendment rights anymore, because the police could arrest me for anything. And knowing I can't pass a sobriety test because of my club foot and handicap, right, doesn't matter to them. And that caused me to have great anxiety over law enforcement. So that's why I started looking up, what do you do about it, right? I Googled it. Simple. What do you do if the police lie? Oh, you just record them. Simple enough. Thanks, Google. I am not the problem. I record lawfully the police work I see. It isn't my actions that violate, it's the officers. Writing their own policies, codes, and statutes. Failure to identify is why they need to approach to 10 feet to identify officers hiding their identity while committing crimes. Right? Last page. I can come to the assistance of citizens unlawfully arrested. Adams versus the state, 121 GA 1648 SE 910. I have a right to come, record, and ask a particular question. Where's the victim? What crime did they commit? Right? I'm allowed to ask that. I've got that on camera behind the theater over someone they had detained for public intoxication. What crime did he commit? And they wouldn't answer me. Right? It was about defiance of me showing up to record. Right? And that's what it was all about. And that's why I insisted on identification that time. Right? Because they're knowingly, you know, I'm wearing the scanner. I know what you just stopped him for. Right? It's ridiculous. You should have just said it on camera. Oh, he's tipsy and we're going to make sure his friend comes and picks him up and everything's fine here. You can be sure that we won't hurt him, Mr. Cantrell. Oh, no, all right. See ya. Right? My wife was watching that one. She's sitting in the truck. And the guy, June 22nd, 2023, Andrew Fitzpatrick put a citizen in handcuffs for 40 minutes for defending his rights as a passenger in an unlawful stop. No tail light was out. Hour and 30-minute traffic stop. Nathan Day assaulted me the next day for recording police. This will be my next federal complaint. Title 18 USC 894. They are joining together to punish me for exercising my First and Fourth Amendment rights to travel and press. These documents and information within my 70 FOIA requests is a paramount request from the court's administration and is under your common laws. Your duty to open and transparent and failure to fully disclose this information required so affects my human rights under ECHR Articles 5, 6, and 8. Failure to provide the evidence. And here we are. 5 years later almost. Coming right up. Right? Failure to provide the evidence. You've been given it in federal court now. Same old garbage. Right? You know, I didn't hurt any of these people in custody. None of them. You guys did. You did some of it right in front of me. Right? Kristen Collins. You're sending men with guns to arrest me for exercising my First Amendment rights. As an example, you can understand that your issue of false arrest orders is a crime, Class C crime. You can't criminalize filming. I can walk down a sidewalk with a camera, no crime committed. Did you study law at all? So threatening arrest for a Fifth Amendment, First District Court unconstitutional law for walking in public, right, with a camera, is a threat of assault and battery and kidnapping. You wrongfully read the Constitution. I gave you warning in writing. Stop threatening to arrest me for exercising my First Amendment rights. Right? Right there. Right? Right? Accuse them. In writing. And there's many, many more of these out there. Anyway, I'm done for today.